In this example, we'll be solving simultaneous equations, but in particular, linear simultaneous equations. And all this means is the power of our variables can't be greater than 1 for these type of examples. Now, a few things to keep in mind about solving linear equations. You will need to be able to rearrange and solve linear equations, and you'll need to be able to substitute values into equations. So often you'll be given a pair of equations like this, and you'll be asked to solve simultaneous equations. All that means is you need to find the values of x and y using both equations at the same time. It's easiest to solve equations like this when both equations look exactly the same. So how I like to have it laid out is the x's and y's on one side, or the variables on one side, if they're not x and y, and the numbers on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and rearrange these equations. Now that we have both equations in the same format, so the variables on one side and the numbers on the other, our aim is to cancel out one of the variables. So you can decide whichever one you'd like to do. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out the x's. So my first aim is to make the number of x's the same. So what I'll need to do is multiply the first equation by 5 and multiply the second equation by 2. The reason is if I have 5 times 2x, that becomes 10x. And if I have 2 times 5x, then that also becomes 10x. And then I can go ahead and cancel them out. So if I multiply the entire first equation by 5, I get 10x minus 20y equals 50. And if I multiply the entire second equation by 2, I get 10x minus 6y equals 36. Now that I've got x's the same, I need to figure out how can the x's cancel out with each other. Well, because we've got a positive 10x here and a positive 10x here, the only way that they're going to cancel out is if we subtract one equation from the other. Now, I'm going to go ahead and subtract number 2 from number 1, but it all depends on whatever your preference is. So if I have equation 1 minus equation 2, I will end up with 10x minus 10x, which becomes 0. Then I have minus 20y minus 6y, and because two negatives make a positive, it will end up being minus 20y plus 6y, which is negative 14y. And then on the other side of the equation, we have 50 minus 36. 50 minus 36 is just 14. Now, we have minus 14y equals 14. Now, to find the value of y, we need to divide both sides of the equation by negative 14. And what we'll be left with on the left is just y, and what we'll be left with on the right is negative 1. So this is our value of y. Now that we have our value of y, we have to go ahead and substitute it into any of our equations from before. I'm going to go ahead and substitute it into equation number 1. So equation number 1 becomes 2x minus 4 times our value of y, which is minus 1, equals 10. Now to solve this equation that we have, we need to first expand our bracket. So we have minus 4 times minus 1, which is just plus 4. So this becomes 2x plus 4 equals 10. And now to find the value of x, first we need to subtract 4 from both sides. So it becomes 2x equals 6. And now we divide by 2, so we get x equals 3. And now we have found our value of x. And that is how you solve simultaneous equations.